We're good.
We managed to segue back into this previous lifestyle fairly well. I think we adjusted over the summer of 69 and knew I had to be there through to the summer of 1971. Looking back, it went fairly quickly. It was, I think, a time for me to reflect a lot because the experience in Bolivia had really affected me. Because I was so involved there in a public health program, a community-based one, much more than individual illness issues. And I enjoyed that more than the clinical stuff I was doing. I came back to the residency because I thought it was really important for me to be sure that this change of heart I appeared to be having was real.
Okay, before we get into the residency, which I want to hear about, could you explain a little bit about what is the difference between how you think when you're a physician working with individual patients and when you're in the role like you had when you took the trip south? What can you say about how your mind thought about things, and just what is that world of public health like compared with being a physician working with individual patients?
Well, yes, for me, working with individual patients could be interesting, certainly, depending on the person, could also be very frustrating. And it was an approach to disease diagnosis and treatment rather than prevention was the major approach. And so I would, have to focus very specifically on exactly what the patient was telling me, what the symptoms were, make the diagnosis, figure out the laboratory approaches that I would need, if any, and then prescribe the treatment and monitor it, and either then adjust the treatment or say, you're fine, go on. That was gratifying in many cases, but not all. And I didn't enjoy it as much, particularly since I think I knew I would have to be available at any time of the day or night for anyone who had a problem. That looking ahead, if I was in an internal medicine practice, that it would be a lifestyle that I had accepted as a probability when I went to medical school, but that I was beginning to question more and more for me, just me personally. Because with the public health issues in Bolivia, then I had this experience now of thinking long-term, not so much short-term, but long-term, thinking about epidemiology, the development of a disease in groups of people, either the passage of an infectious disease, which of course was the major one we were dealing with, tuberculosis, or even some of the other chronic diseases. How do they behave in populations? What can you do to prevent people from getting sick in the first place? And what can you do to mitigate illness once it occurs, keep it as mild as possible or as localized as possible rather than spreading? And then in order to do that, I realized you really had to rely more on broader partnerships than you do in individual practice. Certainly in practice, you use consultants, and a complicated patient we'd send to somebody who was expert in the area that they were dealing with. But in a community kind of approach, you needed partnerships that were much broader and more diverse, I guess. You need to think about financially, organizationally, governmentally, administratively, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay, we're going to keep going, but I'm going to reset.
Recording stopped.